Welcome to Bleach Boys, the Bazz B versus Jugram special. Fucking love. I shouldn't cuss in the first 5 seconds. Love this episode. We're just going to bleep that out. Nobody's going to know that I said anything. YouTube will have no idea.
Episode titled Friend.
Yeah. Which ends with it highlighted in red. End. So it's perfect.
Ooh.
What a beautiful episode, and I thought they did a great job. The music this episode obviously was incredible as always.
Very somber.
But they didn't do it too overpowering because it was very somber. It was all the way through and through. The animation during the fight scenes on this was so crazy.
Good.
And I knew, I've been saying it forever for this fight, that even in the manga, I feel like the choreography was pretty fucking good.
It was so
them doing it.
nice.
So I knew they were going to cook for this episode. The one thing I didn't know is they were going to do Bazz B versus Jugram all in one episode.
See, I thought it was going to be a two-parter too.
Mm-hmm. I think the world thought it was going to be a two-parter episode.
Now I don't know what's going to happen next week.
Which is good because really we get the best of both worlds, Jose. You remember in Bleach TYBW Core 2, my complaint is that every episode was one singular fight through and through and through and through and through. This one I feel like everything's been a two-parter. At least the two main ones we've been getting recently, they're two-parter fights. And then they switched it up, hit us with a one-episode one. I'm like, oh, damn.
I was like, God damn, this was so quick.
We are talking Bleach TYBW episode 38. But as we were recording, Jump Festa was going on as well, which had the Bleach TYBW Core 3 panel with a voice actor of both Kid Bazz B, Kid Jugram, and then Ichigo and Uryu. They were there talking about Core 3 and making some announcements. So we do have a few things to talk about the finale that is coming next week that we can touch on at the very end of the episode as well, because that has just been announced. I want to give a special shout out. This is a Bleach podcast. Jose and I are huge simps for this show. They just announced My Hero Academia Vigilantes is coming out.
Oh my God.
We loved that manga. We have actually, we reviewed the whole manga.
The whole thing. I think we started with Josh and we lost Josh at the end of it. But it was fantastic. He did finish it on his own and he loved it.
Yeah. He just didn't have that dog in him.
He didn't have the dog to keep recording.
But I cannot recommend enough. If you like My Hero Academia, which I'm sure there's not a big overlap with Bleach because, it's cringe. But My Hero Academia Vigilantes is so good. I highly recommend you giving that show a shot when it comes out.
100%. All about Knuckle Duster.
Now, they did announce a new playable character, which this is not going to shock anybody for Bleach Rebirth of Souls. They showed a little bit of Shinji in action as a Jump Festa trailer.
Boy.
Not the classic trailer that we've been getting for the characters where it really explains their moves. More of just like a cinematic, almost story-like trailer where it showed his interaction with a couple people, and we did see him fight for a few scenes. Nobody is shocked by that. It did kind of look to me like that maybe Hiyori, though, might be part of his kit, and we might not get a Hiyori playable character, which, in all things considered, it makes sense.
I'm a Hiyori hater.
So you loved when she got cut in half?
Yes, I did, unironically. I wish she stayed dead.
Damn.
Damn, okay.
By the way, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. This is the episode that will come out before Christmas. And the next one will be the episode that comes out before New Year's. And then that will be the wrap. That's it. Damn, what a year it's been. It zoomed by. I feel like this season for Bleach TYBW has gone by so quick.
It's just because I believe, I'm just going to say it right now. 1, 3, and 2. That's the order I put my Bleach cores so far.
Well, you don't know yet, Jose. What if the last season finale is an absolute banger?
Right, you're right.
That's the negative way to look at it.
Sorry.
That's a glass half empty sort of. But it could be an absolute mind-blowing banger.
I hope so. I don't know what the next part of the episode is going to be.
I actually kind of know. So I mean, with the Jump Festa, they did this thing where it's going to take forever before we get into Bazz B versus Jugram, and I'm going to save any sort of spoilers for the finale towards the end. So if you guys don't want to hear it, you can dip out. But they released, just be aware, on the Bleach Anime official website, the synopsis for the finale.
That's insane that they released it already.
I'm not going to ask, but does it sound cool?
Yes, it sounds very cool.
I'm excited. I'm so excited for this.
Just be aware that there are pictures and there is a synopsis of the finale that are flowing. Yes. So just be aware.
It's Robert Acquitron. He comes back.
It's Robert. I knew
it's just 4 images that when you piece it together is a smiling face of Robert. It's just good to go. Let's hop into Bazz B versus Jugram. We hop into an immediate flashback showing a young Jugram and a young Bazz B, and we see Jugram is all bruised up in the forest trying to shoot his arrow at a rabbit, and of course he misses. Just then we see a actual Quincy arrow fly by and smite the rabbit as we see a Kid Bazz in gladiator armor on a tree branch yelling at Jugram. And he's like, "What's wrong with you, man? You suck." Which, I mean, that's classic kid banter right there. And Jugram is just like, who are you? Like, what am I looking at here? And Bazz immediately is angry. He's like, what? You want the great Bazz to identify himself? You first white leak face. And Jugram, being the polite young boy that he is, does not take offense to anything that just happened. He's like, oh, so you're called Bazz. I'm Jugram Haschwalth. And then we get the opening song. Now, I have to say, I feel like when an anime episode starts off with a flashback, you know it's going to be up to some bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, you just know it's going to be some heart-wrenching bullshit.
Tug on your heartstrings really hard.
I have a thought, and I want to get it out of my brain. Adult Bazz B absolutely modeled his hair after that helmet he wore when he was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he totally did.
Yeah. I really liked the voice for Kid Jugram. I thought it was a great fit for this like real timid kid, which also is the voice actor for Armin from Attack on Titan, by the way.
Oh, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, which is crazy, but that makes sense. The voice actor for Bazz, let me see how good my memory is the voice actor for Mashal.
Oh, really?
Mash Burn Dead and Mashal,
Yeah,
the MC. Yep.
I could hear it now.
Yep. So
Was that
two
show
very
good?
prominent voice actors.
It was a banger.
Now, let me. I got a perfect preface for this. Is it as good as One Punch Man? No, it's not. One Punch Man like nails that kind of genre of the OP main character that just kind of rifles through everything. But Mashal is a great middle ground that has magic elements, so it's more like a Harry Potter. It riffs on Harry Potter.
Pretty much
a lot.
Harry Potter.
With this One Punch Man, kind of thing mixed into it, and it does a good job where you will like it. It is not the pinnacle of perfection of anime, but it is enjoyable. It's funny. My fiance likes it a lot. She's a big Harry Potter fan. She loved it. I definitely would say it's worth watching.
Because I think One Punch Man, especially like all the new chapters coming out, is like in the top tier of anime ever. But if it's even like how does the joke get worn out? Because I read the first volume and thought it was okay.
For Mashal, no. The joke doesn't get worn out. In the beginning, I did feel that when he was doing a lot of the trials and stuff, trying to get into the magic school. I kind of got that burnout, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Another one of these.
But they actually handle it pretty well.
Okay, I will add that to my watch soon list.
After the opening, we cut to the present as Jugram is like, what do you think you're doing, Bazz B? And Bazz is like, don't you mean how am I still alive? And Jugram is just like staring at him, just like, I'm not going to answer that.
Stare.
And Bazz B runs at him and grabs his collar and does burner finger 1. And we get like this beautifully animated scene where Jugram jumps over him, flings his cape at him, like blinding Bazz, and hits him with the hilt of his sword, which would hurt.
That was so cool.
It would hurt so fucking bad if that happened to you.
Because he gets him like right around here or so.
I think in the head, Jose. Like he nails him in the head with it because he's blinded by the thing and he whips it out and like hits him.
That thing would be so heavy.
I would be on the ground in pain, just like pissed. And Jugram, like as he's falling back from nailing him with his combo attack, Bazz B reaches around the cape and grabs the hilt of the sword so Jugram can't go anywhere, burns the cape and shoots through it. I was like, dude. That's probably the coolest little like 5 seconds I've ever seen. That was insane.
They're really cooking with this one.
Jugram moves so fast in this whole fight, by the way.
Yeah, I did not expect
a lot of watching this. I got the maybe this is probably intentional. I was gonna say maybe this was probably intentional. In the present, I got this opposite feeling of what we got in the past, where Jugram is like looking down on Bazz, like kind of pitying him, where he's not really fighting super hard, and you see the few moments that Jugram does like really bust a move. He's going fast. Yeah, he's really fast, really strong. Like he's crazy, and like Bazz is trying his all to get him, and it's just like, like come on, stop, Bazz B, like please. And then eventually, of course, Jugram is like, all right, come on, I told you to stop, and then we know what happens.
Yeah,
but dang. Really cool exchange.
It's never pointed out, and I guess it becomes obvious later on, but, with what Yhwach says, he doesn't use a single Quincy ability. Because he can't. Jugram can't do... Like, all he has is his sword and, I guess, his shrift, but he doesn't use that at all.
And his shield that he can summon.
Oh, that's right.
I forgot he could do that. Is that the justification for making him really obnoxious in Brave Souls?
Probably.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm still mad.
That's where that move came from, where you get 3 shields every SO2.
I hate that.
So pissed about it. Oh, by the way, just for everybody, I did get Santa Lil Toto. Just shouting that out to the comments.
First pull, too, right?
First pull. I now have at least 10 pulls left for when they put out real Lil Toto.
There you go. Save them.
Very good.
Also, yeah, once I hate to keep commenting on it, but my God, the music is so good.
You got to comment on it. You have to.
It's
Like that's
fantastic.
part
It's
of what
just
makes
composed
Bleach
so
Bleach.
well.
Like they played. I don't. It's not the sad piano song, but they played another of the sad Bleach songs from the OG soundtrack, and it sounded so crisp.
So Jugram lands, looks at Bazz B, he's like, "Oh, I see those wounds. They are not from the enemy, but from His Majesty's Haschwalth, aren't they?" And he says, "So you were not chosen." And Bazz is like, You say?" He says, "Everyone below was put through the Haschwalth, and they were wiped out." And Jurgen's like, "Oh, like I'm sorry to hear that." And Bazz is like, "Sorry, bullshit. You knew
Sorry,
this
it's not
would
gonna
happen."
cut it, punk.
And Jurgen was like, "If I told you I didn't, would you even believe me?" And Bazz is like, "Come on, we've known each other for a long time. Of course I believe you." And Jurgen doesn't answer, which I thought was very telling. Like Bazz gave him the option to be like, "Yeah, go ahead. Like I'll believe you. Tell me you didn't know." And Jurgen's just like, just says
That's
nothing.
gotta eat him alive, though. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
poor Bazz B.
Yeah.
Bleach talks a whole lot about friendship, and most anime, you all have like the perfect "we are friends" friendship. I really love that Bazz and Yugam. You can tell they had a real friendship, but it just got shattered, and you can tell like he desperately wants him to be like, "I had no clue, Bazz. I'm so sorry," but no, it's for real. I knew what would happen.
And so after the awkward silence, Yukrim is like, "Bazz B." And Bazz B is just like, "Call me Bazz," like old times, then readies up Burner Finger 2. And Yukrim's just like, "Okay, I guess I'm wasting my breath." And Bazz B continues and says, "Once His Majesty is asleep, you and he will swap powers. I'm going to kill His Majesty's power along with you, the traitor." And then as he's kind of giving the speech, we cut every once in a while, we see this like young version of Bazz kneeling in front of this burning castle, and we watch the shadows moving through the pillars to show that the time is passing. And Bazz B continues and he's like, "Isn't that right, Jugo?" And then we get the next exchange between the two of these people as Bazz B runs forward with his two burning fingers, but Yugrim jumps onto the pillar to dodge it.
Dude.
And then Bazz slashes through the pillar with the flames. Yugrim runs up the fucking roof around to the other pillar, jumps at Bazz B, and then we go back to the past.
What the hell
So
was
good.
that choreography? Like, how good was that?
Well, Yugrim is insane, man. Like, he is full on, like, that's why I was laughing when I watched it. He was like a rat on the roof, this guy. He was so fast. I'm like, that's crazy. And I feel like that was one of those moments where, you know, like you're kind of like playing around with a toddler, and then like all of a sudden you have to get serious for a second, like, whoop, and like dodge really quick.
Legit,
Like,
no joke. He
that's
was
when we saw the quick speed of Yugrim for a second. It was like, oh, holy crap, okay.
But then Bazz B still being able to have that much destructive power.
Bazz B was cool. I loved all of his moves in this. I loved the flames. I loved all of it.
And you know what? Speaking of choreography, it is like a 1-to-1 from the manga. They didn't add a whole lot.
Which I knew they weren't going to. I've been saying that it's so good. I remember we might have read that. Go watch the manga reaction stream. I had such a good time reading this again and like refreshing my memory because I've talked about before reading it for the first time in high school. I remember having this part having an impact on us when we were reading it because it was one of the standout parts of Thousand Year Blood War that we saw these two characters, and I love that. In my mind, this is one of the greatest. I think this is the greatest Bleach Thousand Year Blood War episode since Yama. Or maybe Ichigo returning to try to attack Yhwach because I love those two episodes. I would put this easily a third right behind that because I love that it is two Sternritter characters. We don't see any of the Soul Reapers in this episode. They are not involved. We don't see them. These are two characters that we've only met in Thousand Year Blood War, and they both have this connection and this backstory that was so good. I loved it.
Done such a good job, even in the last few episodes, and then bringing back like Nemu with Pernita. Like just filling in those backstories was so well done.
Let me ask you a question today.
Yeah.
I'm going to state this for the people out there. I think this episode was better than when Nemu died. I got to say.
I did not cry at this episode.
Oh, I think this episode was sad. I think
It was
this episode
sad
was really
as
sad.
fuck, but I think this episode was better. I do agree. I think this episode was better.
Well, it also helps that, you know, like we are comparing a part 2 to a full
fight. Yeah, so we got it all at once.
Yeah, so it is a little bit of a different, different motion, but damn, this episode was good.
Damn.
Like, it's not in my top 3, but it is absolutely like number 4.
I think across the board, this should be an easy contender for anybody's top 5 of Thousand Year Blood War. I think easily.
I would even go so far as to say it's all of Bleach. It's the best. It feels like the best of Bleach condensed down into one thing without lots of filler, without a whole lot of talking, without a lot of tracking shots, without a whole lot of spending 15 minutes recapping what happened last episode. This is just two characters. They're fighting. Here's their story. Here's the finale. You're good, and it's so well done.
We all love the music in Bleach, right? Like it kind of like stirs up something, right? How do you feel about anime that remove the soundtrack and just let the fist fights kind of like go on, kind of like Naruto and Sasuke?
Okay, so we talked about this when we were watching the manga, and one of the fights that we were kind of comparing it to, which what would be a good version of a fight that like Bazz B versus Jugram could recreate. Obito versus Kakashi came up.
So good.
That is a great fight, and I love when the music dies, Jose. I love that so much.
And it's all just like raw hits, the kunai slashing and everything.
But obviously, like, there's not a moment, because you think of Bazz B and Jugram, two opposing, like, one uses flames and one uses swords. There's not really going to be moments to really go hand to hand or go like. He can't clash a sword into fire, like
at most probably you'd hear it when the sword gets either sheathed or when he smacks it against the ground or something.
And like fire by default is gonna make noise, and then you're gonna have. I mean, Bazz is just not even close to our boy Jugram, so it's unfortunate, but I love those scenes. Love it.
They're always really. They don't do them a lot, but they're really well done when they do because it's impactful as shit.
And I like to call back on this again. I don't think we brought this up the past few episodes, so we're getting better, everybody. But this goes back to something that was said in an interview. I don't remember what exactly. I think it was when we were maybe in Hollywood at the fireside chat with Marita. And he was saying that one of the things that they really liked about Bleach TYBW Core 3 is that there's a lot of meaning between like the conversation.
Yes.
Like there's a much deeper, so like there's a surface level conversation, and then there's a conversation that's happening below that. And that you see a lot of that in this fight with how Yugram's kind of facial features change and how the way he's looking and like the things that he is not saying. It's really well done, and I love it a lot.
And it's not like you're stuck up your own ass about it. Like, it's very obvious that you're supposed to be reading between the lines, but
it's in your face to the point where it's like you start kind of thinking about it more and more.
Yeah, and it's for like you'd have to think about it, look at it, figure it out, and I'm like, oh, I like this more. This is so good. I'm shocked that I really enjoyed the flashback.
Oh well, it helped. They added like that one crazy scene.
Well,
but let's get to
scene.
it. We go back to Bazz B following Kid Jugram around and like kind of admiring how he got him to admit his name first. Like you tricked me really good. Like you're smart. And Jugram was like, why are you following me? And Bazz B's like, well, isn't it obvious? Like a pathetic kid like you would never catch anything. So I'm watching your bag. And Jugram was like, doesn't really say anything, just keeps doing his thing. And Bazz like, can you respond? You're making me feel like the bad guy here. And Jugram finally responds and he says, I can't make a Helic bogan like you can. I am pathetic. And Bazz B is like, shut up, Jugo. You're not pathetic. I'm just a genius. And Jugram's like, well, I mean, you're the one that called me pathetic. Like that's why I said it. And Bazz B ignores that and says, no one our age can make one like this, right? None of your friends can. And Jugram's like, well, I haven't seen many of those. Referring to his lack of friends, not the lack of crossbows. So hate to see it for poor Yugo. And Yugo's like, do you mind not calling me Jugo? Well, I think it's actually Yugo. Would you mind not calling me Yugo? I don't like it. And Bazz digs himself further into the hole and says, why? What do your parents call you? And Yugo responds, I don't have parents. I live with my uncle. Bazz B double downs and is like, well, what does your uncle call you? And Yugo's like, that doesn't matter. Leave me alone. I need to catch a rabbit
I was like,
today.
no. And you see the bruises on his arm as he's saying this.
Like, obviously, when we hear the uncle later, but like seeing the bruises on his arm made me so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Bazz then throws a rabbit at him and says to take it. He doesn't hunt for food. He hunts to show he's a genius. And then says, Jugo, from today on, you're my underling. Don't worry about what the adults say. I'll teach you everything you need to know. Let's become the strongest Quincy's ever. And then we see, so in the manga, this was a little different. I feel like it hit harder in the anime. The kind of classic representation of the drunk uncle appears out of the corner. We never see his full figure. We never see what he looks like, but we hear his voice, and he's like calling him his precious Jugo, and you can't go too far out into the woods because what would you do without me? Like, you need to come back home. And that's kind of the end of that eerie interaction there.
Hated it.
And there is like a lot of undertones, and like when we see Yugo's eyes when this is happening, I mean, obviously abuse is happening. What kind of abuse? It could be anything. Like it's really, really dark, and it's something that they did a very subtle job of like showing these bruises. And it's like, you could think if you see the bruises, like maybe he got a hunting, you know,
that's true.
He could have got beat up by like a boar or something. They kill a boar at one point in the episode. Yeah, he could have fallen down. It could have been anything. And then you just see this classic kind of scummy uncle that's drunk
just like all in the background.
And it just, your mind immediately wanders. And it's just like, just poor
kid.
Poor Yugo, man. Like, just a classic story of abuse.
I would say their depiction of it was incredibly tasteful. It wasn't grotesque. It wasn't in your face. It was, you understand what's happening, and we don't need to go any further.
So we cut back to the present again, and Bazz B puts together that Jugram has changed the name of this castle to the Varvel. And he's like, isn't this the Silburn? Like, when did the castle change? And he goes, let me guess. I don't have to tell you that, right? And he's like, that's what you'd always say. And Jugram is like not responding to any of this, and he's staring past Bazz B to this giant fucking hole that has been formed through the wall from that laser beam he shot off. And he's like, let's go outside the castle. This will be damage if we continue to fight here. And Bazz B, of course, scoffs at that because he's not answering the question. He's worried about the castle and does Burning Finger 3 as flames begin to shoot across the ground going towards Yugo, and he's blocking it with his glowing metal golden shield. And we see the shadow of Jugram as he is completely kind of overtaken by these flames, which makes the scene identical to what we saw in Senjomaru's Bankai.
Yeah.
Which very, very good. And Bazz then makes the same Quincy crossbow that he would make as a kid and points at his Jugram as we begin to hear like the screaming of people begin to chime in. And then we cut to the past to that very scene with the burning castle. And this time we see Bazz B and his mom, that are staring at a massacre that is happening on the castle grounds from a upper floor window. Anime only scene here.
Very aggressive.
Aggressive is an understatement. So to paint the scene a little bit, we see 4 Quincy's that are really just going to town on all of these people that are in this castle. And we see a Quincy with a sword. I don't know. I think we would call it a rapier. He had a rapier. Yeah. And then we see another one with 2 axes. One was dual wielding pistols with Yhwach standing behind him. And then the classic blonde lady with the rifle. Who is, they're all independently going apeshit, killing everybody. Like slaughtering. Some people are cut in half. Other people, which by the way, I got to give 2 thumbs down to the guy who was fighting the rifle lady, who just ran right into the fucking dagger on the end of her rifle. Like, what did I watch there? Like, I don't know.
Had a bayonet.
She had a bayonet, and the guy ran right into it. I'm like, okay, like that guy didn't even try. Maybe he saw like how it's going. He's like, I'm gonna put myself out of my misery. Like,
he's just like, I'm just gonna jump in front.
I can explain that in actual lore.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, he's one of those people on Twitter that are mad thirsty for her after this episode came out.
It's one of those guys, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Twitter is going crazy over this woman. I don't even know her name.
But I have a interesting theory about that lady as well, because these are basically, we come to learn that they are like the 4, I don't know what their actual military title is, but they're part of the military police. And they're like his 4 generals that have been going around with him, conquering all of the, the area where the Quincy's are inhabiting. And when I was watching it live today, I spoke to this guy. He's on TikTok. He posts a lot of stuff. His name is Kubology Professor. You'll see him in the comments.
Great name.
Anything on Bleach in TikTok, you will see him there. And he was telling me that he believes that the rifle girl is still alive because she was the only one of the 4 generals that was not resurrected by Yamamoto.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh, I like that.
That's smart, yeah.
Which it could also be stated that maybe she was the only one that didn't die to Yamamoto and died to one of the other captains. But we'll think glass half full on this one.
Yeah. Really exactly. She might still be around.
I have a question I want to ask both of you. Who were the Quincy's killing? Because, like, from the black uniforms, they kind of looked like the Stealth Force, but I could be crazy on that.
I would assume that they are just regular, because it's Bazz's castle. It's where he lived. It's his village. So it's just regular villagers. Yhwach had lived up in the northern region, and everybody kind of heard rumors of like this weird guy who's claiming he's been alive for 200 years and that he has the power that nobody else has. He has a strange power, I think is what they said, and that he's claiming to be the father of all Quincy's. And they're like, oh, just ignore that crazy guy. But then he comes down and just starts conquering everything.
Killing everybody's using that giant bow at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because I was like, well, why would the Stealth Force be here? And why are they fighting them?
They were trying to stop the revolt before it got too far, and they failed.
Yup.
I could see someone being like, hey, Yhwach is our king, bow to him, and they say no, and they go, okay, well, you fucked around, now you find out. We're going to shoot you with a giant bow gun.
So right after our favorite woman with the rifle gets done stabbing somebody, she immediately turns, like without missing a beat, and shoots the head off of Bazz B's mom.
It was so rough.
Damn, it was so gruesome.
Bazz B, like as a kid, falls to the fucking ground because he's like, oh my god. And Yhwach then summons his giant Quincy bow in the sky and points it down at the ground, just destroying the whole castle. and it causes the floor to break underneath Bazz B as he stumbles down, falling down from the floor. Survives because he lands on the dead body of his mom and rolls off and runs out of the castle. And Bazz gets out to the front gates and is able to hide behind a rock as the 4 generals go by, and Yhwach riding his giant horse. And this is where we see Yhwach has the 3 irises, and Bazz B is kind of like staring at him, and at first it doesn't look like, they're just going right past him. One of the irises like so clearly is looking right at Bazz. I'm like, dang.
Man, okay, so that blonde woman, she definitely like 360 no scopes people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, after we saw her flick shot, I mean, she's 100% doing
100%.
that.
She got hacks, dude.
So like she did the aimbot, she got the shot that unlocked the kill streak, which let you use his orbital strike.
So post destruction of the castle, Bazz is just kind of like mourning that he's in the destroyed castle he used to live in, and he's eventually found by Jugram. And then we cut to a narration training montage from Bazz, and he says, half a year after I first met Jugo, the small castle where my clan lived burned to the ground. It was Yhwach that set it afire. He was a monster who controlled the northern territory using strange powers. They say he's been alive for 200 years and that he's the father of the Quincy's, but I didn't give a damn. Then we see Bazz and Jugo. They're scavenging the castle grounds for any valuables, any rings, and then we see Jugram finding his classic sword that he's been using this whole time. And Bazz is like, let's go kill Yhwach, Jugo. And Jugram is shocked. He's like, you want me to come with you? And Bazz is like, yeah, of course. Like, your force was burned down too, right? Like, if you'd rather stay with your uncle and do nothing, then be my guest. And once again, digs himself to the biggest hole possible because Jugo's like, oh, my uncle actually died in that fire also. And Bazz B's like, oh, I see. And like that is it. That is all we got there. And the narration continues saying that we lived off of the gold coins we dug from the castle ashes. We trained ourselves frantically in order to kill Yhwach. Without either of us saying it, we decided to get close to Yhwach in order to kill him. Eventually, as they're around the fire, Jugo has second thoughts again. He's like, I don't think I can make it. I can't collect reishi. I can't even make a bow. And Bazz like having no time for this. Like, idiot, you have me. Like, you're good. And like, the revenge is for both of us, you and me. I can teach you how to make a bow. And Yuko is just like, Bazz, but Bazz is a true believer. And he's like, don't worry, you'll be able to do it in time. And Yuko's like, oh, okay, like you're right. And then we cut over to Yhwach in the meeting room where Ichibei met him, right? Like that's the very meeting room. And he's with the eye patch Quincy, where we actually do learn his name. It's Sidlitz. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Sidlitz. Let's just go Sidlitz.
His name's Sid.
Sid from Ice Age. He's with Sid from Ice Age, and Yhwach is like, hey, I want to make a new combat unit. And Sid from Ice Age is like, what? Like, what for? Like, there's no places left to conquer in the leaked Reich. We don't need that shit. And Yhwach is like, not this country. Our next conquest will be the Soul Society. And Sid is like, what? And Yhwach continues, to defeat them, we will need a new force. The unit will be called the Stern Ritter. Dun dun dun. This is the classic story of like a conqueror who has conquered all of the things and then is like, I'm gonna move on to the next bigger, like greater enemy, and then gets stopped.
It's just like Rome.
No, that is literally what happened to Alexander the Great.
Yep.
It's like, that is the classic.
He finished conquering all of Greece. Then he went and he hit Persia, and then he was like, let's go to India, and he gets stomped, and he's like, we gotta go home, and then he dies in Persia.
Who's the conqueror that tried to take on Russia and just got like frozen out?
Napoleon, right?
Napoleon and Hitler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they did their burning land tactic.
They did that. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing happened to Rome. I would kill to get any kind of filler just taking place during this era of the Quincy's, man.
Oh, I talked about it in a long time. I cut a lot of it out because I was ranting forever. I would pay so much money to get a series of like anything that takes place in this time period. I love this fantasy Quincy era where like it's just a bunch of people that have Quincy powers that are just hanging out doing their thing.
They're living,
and
doing their own thing. They
have animals. They have, the rabbits. It's like a medieval fantasy era with conquest, and they're all Quincy's. I would love this so much. And I talked about how much I would love a series because I'm going to use an example like Star Wars. In Star Wars, there's 2 good examples of this. One is Star Wars Rebels, and another is Star Wars The Last Jedi, the video game. They both take place during the time where Darth Vader is around.
Oh, yes, you're right. That's the one with Cal Kestis, right?
Yep. I think it's the Last Jedi. Or no, it's not The Last Jedi.
It's
Jedi
not.
Survivor.
Yeah, Last Jedi.
Isn't it Jedi Survivor?
Yeah.
Should I Google it? What is the name of that?
Jedi Survivor is the new one. They had another one.
Fallen Order.
Oh, Fallen Order.
Fallen Order.
That's it.
Okay. So Star Wars Fallen Order. So those are the 2 series. I'm sure there's more. But those take place during a time where Darth Vader is there. And then you would make the same argument. I would make the same argument. How do you adapt a series when someone like Yhwach Baha is running around? Because like he is so much more powerful than everybody else. Like as shown by him conquesting and literally just roasting everybody. They do a great job of handling all of that. Same thing with Rogue One, right?
Yeah,
Same thing with Rogue One. They do a great job. And I would die inside to get a scene similar to Rogue One. They had a scene in The Fallen Order that they did it. They had a scene in Rebels where they had Darth Vader become very involved.
Where he just becomes a fucking badass.
Anything like that
everything.
to just really show like this is what Yhwach Baha looks like to a regular Quincy. You know, like
I agree with that. That would be so cool.
This is the level difference in powers because we saw like from what we know, those people in the castle are probably Quincy's. Like they are just base level Quincy. I'm sure they can do Bazz is like, hey, you don't see kids be able to do this, so I would assume adults can do it just by regular.
It's the Quincy race, so it's kind of like Udyu's mom, right?
Yeah.
And then, that just makes sense. They're just average people. It's just the Quincy blood runs through them.
So I would love to see something where after Yhwach Baha believes that he has conquered all of the land prior to them invading Soul Society, where we follow this rebel group that's like trying to revolt against Yhwach Baha and try to do their thing and take back some of the castles and save the people.
I got it. Let me pitch it to you.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, so I am a studio exec. I am listening to the Bleach Pythes cut where we're going to talk about the Quincy's.
Okay, so there's a video game called Valkyria Revolution. It is the worst game in the Valkyria Chronicles series, but you start the game knowing that every single character you're playing as gets branded as a traitor and gets executed. So we start out, Yhwach has completely conquered all of Quincydom. You follow a group of rebels who do not like that, and in the end, as like their compound is burning to the ground, you'll see like younger versions of certain Stern Raiders. You'll see young Robert. You'll see young Lobaro. You see young Jugram sort of marching in and getting people. They manage to get out. I would say like a teenager. They get a teenager out. And they go, you have to live free, live with our ideals. Ishida.
Ooh.
And that'll be the line.
I'm in, Pythes. Take my money.
Yeah, that'll be the line that will eventually birth Soken. And you'd get to... I kind of want to see Lebaro have a sniper battle with someone who has similar powers.
Maybe we see Lilibaro getting trained by the girl with the rifle.
Oh, that would be sick.
Oh, that would be sick. You have a scene where she is teaching him, okay, so you need to spin around 360 degrees and then fire. And he's like, why? Oh, by the way, did you miss the detail where Bazz B tosses the coin, or I guess the bit of his uniform, to Jugram?
Oh, yeah, I did miss that.
And then eventually he adds that to his sword, which I think is very sweet.
Yeah, he tosses one of the fasteners of his cape, right? That was
I immediately was like, I love Bazz B. This is one of the reasons why I already liked him.
So that little scene you see where they're kind of ransacking the ruins of the castle looking for coins, that is only in the anime. Like, they do it in the manga, but it's just a text over a blank background. But it's so important getting to see these are the coins they lived off of, and this is where Jugram gets the sword. I don't think they ever explained that sword was from Bazz B's, like, his castle, his clan. And that's, like, Jugram could have gotten a new sword anytime he wanted. He's Yhwach's number 2, but he chose that one.
Yeah, and it even in the fight, they show multiple times that the B is still on the sword. You know, like, it's still there. So it's just like, it just even hits
cares it. For his friend.
Hits it home harder.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart, dude. All right, get to... They brought back a certain something we've been talking about, so let's get to it.
All right, so we get a little bit more of Bazz narration here. So we're going to zoom on 5 years. During those 5 years, we never rested. We continued to hone our skills by day and by night. We continued to improve our skills. As always, I was a genius. Meanwhile, Yugo had no talent as a Quincy. Even after 5 years, he was unable to collect reishi, nor could he make a single bow. I heard a story. In the past, it was said that a Quincy like him was born once every several decades. They were weeded out as failures when they were young. A Quincy like that had not been born in centuries. These days, it was just an old folk tale. I was beginning to feel that partnering with Yugo would likely not be of any benefit in my quest to kill Yhwach. But when I saw Yugo trying to compensate for his lack of talent by training harder than me at the sword and bow, I could not bring myself to leave him behind. I don't know if Yugo knew that. And then it says, eventually the day came, ... Which... kind of fucked up, like really, really fucked up, where it's just a sense of pity that like the whole reason that he doesn't ditch Yugo. And you know, it's not necessarily like he's my friend, like I would never ditch him. It's like, well, he's kind of not going to be a lot of help in my grand goal, but I just feel really bad that he's training so hard.
That's what I was mentioning, well, like the different kinds of friendship, because they are friends, but they're not super anime, this is my best friend forever, Pat. Like they're friends, but they're not friends. You know what I mean? I think it's really interesting, and I love that it's Bazz B who has pity right now because later on it's not going to be.
After eventually the day came, we see Yugo and Bazz running into town as the 4 generals. I'm just gonna call them 4 generals. They are in town to make an announcement, and this is where we officially learn that they were the military police of Yhwach, as all the crowd is murmuring, like, what the fuck are they doing here? And one says, which we learned later, his name is Hubert. He says, His Majesty has declared the formation of a new combat unit. Its name is the Stern Ritter. It is an honorable order that will be formed to invade the Soul Society. Those with noble ambitions to fight for the Quincy's will be assembled. And Yugo like turns to Bazz B, like, this is big news. Like, this is huge. Let's go, Yugo. And then immediately, or Bazz says, let's go, Yugo. And he immediately runs in front of them and he's like, we want to enlist in your so-called Stern Ritter. And the villager's like, that's Bazz, like the former Lord's son. Like, what is he doing, those idiots? And Hubert just like looks at him and is like, let's go. Let's move out. And Bazz won't let that slide as he yells at him like, hey, we want to enlist. And Hubert's like, the test will be held at a later date. You will be notified. Go hone your skills, but I doubt they would accept a nobody like you. And Yugo's like, all right, you heard him, Bazz. Like, let's go home for today. No biggie. And the generals go to leave, but Bazz shoots an arrow towards the horse, making it freak out. And Bazz says, I need to show you what I can do right. Oh, I need to show you what I can do, right? Then let's fight, Mr. Officer. If I win, give me your position. And Hubert doesn't respond. He's like, whatever. And then Bazz turns his offer to all of the others out of there. He's like, I'll take all these big shots on as well. And then Hubert's pissed. He's mad that this is happening. And he says, insolent monkey. It appears you won't comprehend your incompetence unless you die. And Bazz kind of like laughs at this. And he says, an officer was killed by a monkey. That's what your pals will reply to His Majesty Yhwach. And then the two charge at each other, ready to fight. And suddenly Bazz is slammed to the ground by spiritual pressure as we see him shaking with the effects. They brought it
back, baby.
Yeah, they didn't bring back the kind of rumbling, but they brought back the effects for sure. And it's just, you could just tell it was worth it.
It paid off.
It sells it. Yeah. It sells it.
I missed the old sound effect, but at least seeing the visual, I'm so happy.
But it was just so cool seeing everybody just get brought down by someone's full power.
Well, and it's worth noting, like, we see the visual because it's that iconic. We know, like, oh shit, it's spiritual pressure. Like, that's just what we know. It's been ingrained in our head. It's not our fault, okay?
Fucking Hubert, I hate that guy.
Yeah, he's such a dick.
So as Bazz is on the ground, he is like, what just happened? And he's able to move like only his eyeball, and he sees that Yhwach is coming in on horse Sama, as he's been deemed, I've been told. And Bazz says that, and Bazz is like, Yhwach. And we see all the other villagers are also being slammed down by the spiritual pressure. And Hubert is like kneeling with a little sweat coming down, and he's like, oh, it's like, I'm sorry, like, forgive me. And imagine he said, forgive me for letting this monkey get the best of me. And he was like, it's fine. He was like, I just came to pick up something I've been searching for, the one who would become my right-hand man. And Bazz on the ground is like excited by this. Like, that's me. Like, he come here. I'm going to be your right-hand man, and then you will be killed by me, Yhwach. And just then, Yhwach is like, I found you. As we turn to see that he has galloped his way in front of none other than Yugo. And he says, I know who you are, Jugram Haschwalth. You are my other half. And this is the mid-episode eye catcher.
So before we go into it, I wasn't paying attention during that scene. Was Yugo affected by the spiritual pressure? I just had that thought.
Yeah, he was standing like nothing was going on.
Yeah,
that's actually way cool.
Yeah. But so was like the generals as well. The generals
they were able to walk in his presence.
But yeah, it was just the village, which I guess maybe goes to show another good point that we find out later, that Bazz really is weak. Like, he's really weak, that he is affected with the other like people, the civilians, basically. Yep. Where meanwhile, Yugo's standing fine, the generals are standing fine, and it's everybody else that's fucked over.
He was no special.
If this was a different story, Bazz B has major like protagonist energy.
Oh, he very much does.
But I just want to ask, so what was his plan when fighting Hubert? Because he pulled out his crossbow, and instead of shooting it, he just started running at him.
Yeah, there wasn't really a good plan, unless maybe that was going to be like the reveal of, I don't know, he wouldn't have had his number by then, so he wouldn't have been able to use flame powers. But in one of the training montages, he showed he was dual wielding crossbows, so maybe he was gonna
that would have been
get
sick.
Close and pull out a second one suddenly and just shoot him. I don't know what he was gonna do.
I just like the idea that he probably had no plan. He was like, we're just gonna let it rock.
The best plan is no plan for Bazz. He was just gonna run in and hope for the best.
And I have an update on our Bleach volumes. As of the eye catcher, we are finally done with volume 69.
Nice. On to volume 70.
That's been the 3-in-1. We've had 67, 68, and 69 stuck together, and I have been using that since like the middle of Core 2. I finally get to put it back on the bookshelf.
Nice.
This goes to 70, which I still can't get rid of because even though that finishes the fight, we still have a little bit left with Little Toto, so I can't put that up yet.
True.
But I'm so dude, that's been sitting on my shelf staring at me. Just like, haha, you can't put me away. They keep moving stuff around.
And it hasn't stopped yet.
Nope.
So I don't have translations for these eye catchers now. I will tell you, I did not even put in the effort to look because every time I fucking look for them, it is like the most obvious shit that was already stated in the episode that they are putting in these eye catchers. So I just thought waste of time. Not even gonna look at it. Now watch this be the one time there's something really cool in the eye catcher and I would just miss it.
We're gonna find out that lady that was Bazz B's mom was actually super important, and we could have been the first here to reveal it on Bleach Boys, but Sam, you let us down.
Nope, sorry, not doing it.
That headshot was too insane.
That's fine. We get to watch Bazz B get cucked. It's great. It's fine.
Yep.
So before we get there, do you want to take a quick little break? Pythes, Jose and I sent you a small little Christmas gift. I delivered it to your house without saying anything because, you know, surprise, surprise, as you know.
Yes, that's why, you know, if this episode is late, it's because Sam literally flew out there, dropped it off.
Yes, I personally hand-delivered it as Santa. I personally hand-delivered it on your porch.
Oh, my God. I hope someone makes a Santa
I
meme.
just dropped it there for you. So you want to open it up and see what it is?
Yes, here's some box opening ASMR. Here's the knife
All
I
right,
have.
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Let's listen to the knife open. Hope you heard that.
I will say 2 of the 3 presents that are in the box, spoiler, there's 3, should be wrapped, hopefully.
We're just going to make them
if they did their job, 2 of the 3 presents should be wrapped. One of them did not allow for wrapping for some reason. So is that correct, Pythes?
Well, before I open it, I just want to tell everyone listening at home that I told them off screen, if this is a dildo, I'm sending it back.
You did say that right before.
We're back after technical difficulties, everybody. Now, behind the scenes talk, we have a very old, like this is like my dad's company's laptop that they were getting rid of because they sucked ass, and they now permanently sit in our garage that we used to record the audio off of, and it's running Reaper, it's running OBS, and it runs Discord calls, so we can hear Pythes. It is starting to combust, so we had a little bit of an issue there.
Yeah.
Pythes did open one of the gifts. What was one of the gifts, Pythes?
It is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Legendary Collection 25th Anniversary Edition with the 3 God cards on it.
I love that one.
Now, very important. I think we talked about this before. Pythes has a current Yu-Gi-Oh! Obsession happening, right?
I don't know if I told you guys, but I did just buy a lot on eBay of 1,000 Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards.
I know he did. He showed me the Thunder Dragon obsession.
Yeah, and Pythes likes the really old nostalgic cards, right?
I'm old. I don't like, not even a Yu-Gi-Oh! Like abridged bit. I don't know anything. I don't know how Synchro Summon works. I don't know what an XC is. I don't know what a Link is. I don't know what a Pendulum is. I just like the old shit.
I believe that collection is all nostalgia cards because it has the old God cards on it. So I believe it's all old cards like from the show.
Yeah, I'm looking at the packs it features on the back, and it literally stopped where I stopped, Invasion of Chaos.
There you go.
Like, Legend of Blue Eyes, Metal Raiders, which is where you get Thunder Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
They had to it used to be called Magic Ruler, but they had to change the name to it's Spell Ruler now.
Okay.
Pharaoh Servant, Dark Crisis, and Invasion of Chaos. So this is all the shit I like because I'm a boomer. So I'm very pleased. Thank you, boys.
Yeah, of course. All right, you got 2 more. Now the last 2, they go together. They're together. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, there's one that's not wrapped up, and I see that it is His Majesty himself, Mr. Lord of the Genocide, Yhwach. In his hand, he is holding the medallion that he used to get out of the weird tree trap at the end of Core 2. He also has a fist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just in case.
And he has a cloth cape, this is great because like I can now put him right next to Yamamoto because I have one arm Yamamoto on my shelf.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Okay.
Just showing his power as he steals his Bankai.
And I'm going to make him stand right in front of that weird Giselle statue I have.
Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, now let's go to the 3rd present. And not to spoil the 3rd present, but you may be able to recreate all our favorite episodes with the 3rd present. So.
Oh, shit, really? What am I looking at? Oh, it's the goat himself. It's Ichi Goat.
Yeah.
So these are they are McFarlane toys that are the Ichigo and Yhwach. There's a Uri one coming out as well. I don't even have these toys, but they're funny because they are like They're like what you would almost see on Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
Like that is the design of these toys.
They're
Yeah, because like Ichigo, his kimono is made out of cloth.
Yeah. Yeah. It is weird. When we saw them at Anime Expo, I think.
yeah.
They were showing them off, and they're like
They were pretty cool.
Yeah, they are. They are cool.
Damn.
And they're very custom. Like they are meant to be used to pose and stuff like that. Like they're kind of the Figma sort of line, but they're cloth, and they look, once again, best explanation I give. They look like they would appear on Robot Chicken.
Yeah, they got ball joints and stuff so that they can move around.
That's good because I tried some of like I think they're called Revoltech figures, and you're supposed to pose those, but they're all plastic, so the joints look like shit.
Yeah.
At least with this, like I don't get to look at Ichigo's knees because they're covered by cloth, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have actual clothes on.
Mhm.
So that's perfect.
They do. This actually works because this is Shikai. This is what's it, Fullbring Shikai Ichigo, and I have Fullbring Bankai Ichigo.
There you go.
There you go.
So this works out. Thanks a lot, boys. I really appreciate these.
Of course.
We
Merry
love you.
Christmas.
I will be paying attention, but you may or may not in the background hear card opening ASMR.
Now, Pythes, if I have to hear you ruffle those damn cards in editing again, I will be so mad.
Hey, listen. Okay, so behind the scenes episode before last, I was like, I'm gonna sort through my cards before the podcast, but because Jose wasn't here, the podcast actually started on time. So
we tried to start it on time this time. It just
you tried.
No, we didn't, Pythes. No, we didn't. I walked downstairs and they were talking about Marvel Rivals for 15 minutes. So
that's Danny's fault.
we only dealt with the power outage for 15 minutes.
But like, I was like, I didn't have time to put it away, so like. Hold on, here's a preview, and I promise I'll put them back when I'm done. This is what Sam heard the whole podcast.
Oh,
Jose, I was raging. I was raging,
oh,
dog.
no. See, before that, he used to yell at Josh, mainly because Josh would either speak like this and very, like, excited and whatever, so you couldn't hear it, or he would be too close, and he'd be doing the...
He'd smack his lips.
Yeah, he
like... Did. Yeah, like, what is he doing?
Every time he would speak.
And it just, like, it's not the biggest. It is actually a big inconvenience because I have to then edit. Like, I have to cut the audio constantly over and over again. And Pythes, like, finds new ways to make stupid noises that are going through his microphone. The back scratcher. I think you scratch your beard sometimes. The Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm like, this fucking guy.
It works because I'm over here on the other side of the country and you can't do anything but yell.
Like this fucking guy. And a lot of times that is just silent enough that I won't hear it until I'm editing. I'm like, this fucking bitch.
Just all of a sudden. That's why I stopped chewing gum. Sam got mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to make noise when I'm speaking, but otherwise I can just go and say can't do anything because I'm not talking.
Yeah, that's true. It's just going to annoy me later in life. That's okay. Do we want to power out the rest of the episode here? We're not far off from the end.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, let's just
because the rest of this episode is good too.
So Yugo is standing there stunned in front of Yhwach that he has been chosen as, the chosen one, for lack of a better description. And Yugo's like, I don't understand. And Yhwach's like, you don't need to understand. You're going to join with the Sternritter as my advisor. Which is a very weird position to give a child, like to be it could have been one thing like, oh, I want you to be like my protege.
Yeah.
An advisor. The fuck is kid Yugo gonna advise you on? I had a really shitty joke I was gonna say.
I was gonna say, like, what's the joke? You paused for a joke, so I was like,
yeah, I
coming.
paused. I thought better of myself. I thought not the right joke to make. There,
maybe for the Patreon, they could hear the joke.
Well, I just thought the only thing he knows is how to be abused. I don't know what he's gonna advise you on. Like, so, I just like it's a bit weird.
Oh,
I was gonna say advisor sounds less like you're taking a young child into your service for nefarious reasons. Advisor's like, hey, he has a position, instead of, hey, you're gonna be my ward. I did air quotes when I said ward.
Someone brought out a great point when we were watching it in the reaction, that Yhwach could have, allegedly, he could have seen with the Almighty how all of these events were going to unfold, and he knew that he had to burn down Bazz B's castle so that it would kill Yugo's uncle, the abuser, and Yugo would be damaged for life, constantly in this abuser cycle.
Damaged for life.
And then Yhwach himself would then be available to come in as his savior, to be the only person that truly understands you. You go, you are special. Nobody's ever told him that in his life. You are the chosen one. You're going to be my advisor. I'm going to make you so great. And then the one friend that he kind of had keeping Yugo sane, the one person he thought that he could count on during that moment, is staring him daggers and hates him suddenly.
Yup.
And that opened it up. All of those events led to that moment and opened up the perfect spot for Yhwach to slide in and take Jugram away.
I mean, if we want to go even further, I mean, you're right. The only one who told Jugram that he was special was Yhwach. Even during all the flashbacks, Bazz B is saying, "You're weak, you suck. Don't worry, rely on me. I'll take care of you because you can't do it yourself."
Mm-hmm.
Yhwach's like, "No, you got it. You're cool. You're like me."
Yeah, he's like, and you don't understand, and like everybody else doesn't understand that you're special. And then you know, if you were a kid,
as a
if you were a
kid,
kid, you go be like, really? Like,
you think I'm cool
Yeah.
after you put everybody else on the floor right now?
I mean, what's the appeal of Harry Potter, right? Harry Potter's a kid living in a shitty situation, being abused by a shitty family. And then a cool giant man says, "You're actually a wizard and you're rich and you're like the chosen one that survived and killed like the evilest wizard that ever was." In like one day, Harry learned this.
No wonder he was an asshole.
So the military police are watching this whole thing, and they're pissed, like that child and advisor. And Yugo is like also not pleased entirely about this because he's so nervous, and he's like, well, this is like what we always wanted though. And he's looking back at Bazz, and he's like, he wants to be his advisor, and he's kind of like stumbling his words and like and he says like, what should I do, Bazz? Like still looking towards Bazz, and Bazz B is in his own mind like pissed, like staring daggers at
It should have
Yugo.
been me.
And we cut to this kind of like dramatic, dark background now where all we see is Jugram, and we see Bazz. And it kind of shows this separation that's happening between the two of them. And Bazz B is thinking, you know, the two of us were supposed to get close to Jugram and kill him together. I had the talent, you did not. Even if both of us could not get a position, if one were chosen, it should have been me. So why did he choose you, Jugo? Why? And we see Bazz continuing like this angry fucking stare at Yugo. And I guess, you know, asterisk really quick, I guess we know where Jugram learned it from, the master class and side eye and staring people down. And Yugo like is noticing this, and he's thinking like, why are you looking at me like that? Like, aren't you happy for me that like I have this opportunity? And Yhwach tells the military police like, hey, go back to my castle and get my carriage. Which, by the way, the fuck does Yhwach's carriage look like? Like that's got to be
Like a pumpkin.
I'm sure that's something crazy with the way that he rolls. He's got the biggest horse I've ever seen in my life, and I'm sure his carriage is insane. So Yhwach continues like, hey, go get my carriage. I'm going to take this one back to the castle, which is, you know, a little bit not okay undertones. And Yugo is still like freaking out. He finally speaks up. He's like, "Yo, excuse me, like there has been a mistake." And Hubert, our friend Hubert, is like, "Shut up, there's no mistake. His Majesty chose you. How dare you suggest that His Majesty made a mistake?" Yugo continues on. He's like, I don't have any talent as a Quincy. I can't even make a bow or an arrow. And rather than me, Bazz over there, he'd be much more fit to be your Majesty's advisor. Which, good guy Yugo.
Yeah,
all the way
straight
through.
up.
And this is where Yhwach decides, like, let me gonna absolutely destroy Bazz's whole ego right here.
Ooh.
And he says that this is just as my eyes foresaw. You're still unaware what your power is. Of course you cannot make a Healing Bogan. You are like me, a Quincy with the power to share powers. I have searched for a long time. After all, not a single Quincy with the same power has been born in the past 200 years. And Bazz is like thinking as this whole thing's going on, and he's starting to piece it together that Yhwach has supposedly been alive for 200 years. He is the father of the Quincy's, and a Quincy like that had not been born in centuries. And Yhwach continues, Jugram Haschwalth. Unlike other Quincy's, you cannot absorb reishi from your surroundings and use it as your own power. You can only give them. I gained my power by learning how to give power, grow it, and then take it back, but you aren't unable to do even that. And he says, red-headed child, in the time you spent with this one, you must have surely felt your power growing by the day. Did you believe that it was your own talent? You should thank this one, the one who turned you, someone with no talent, into a genius. Let's go, Haschwalth. I need you by my side.
That's rough, buddy.
Whoo!
That is rough.
How do you recover from that? Like the strongest man around, conquered the whole nation, killed your parents, and you thought you were gaining in talent and skill. He runs up. You had no talent, no skill. The only reason you got any is because of Jugram here. And you were just like hating on him.
That shit was rough,
That's
bro.
rough. Damn. He got burned.
How do you come back from that?
You just don't. Like your ego would just be bruised forever, and you would just be this kind of flawed character, which we see is Bazz. You know, like he is that.
If I'd be stronger than me, I'd be like, I'm just gonna go live in the woods, be like a woodcutter the rest of my life. Don't bring me. I'm out.
You're like, I'm not cut out for the Stern Ritter.
At least Bazz B got back up. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go try and do a big revenge or whatever.
Well, yeah, I guess right after this, Bazz forces himself up and yells, "Die, Yhwach," as he forms the classic crossbow we saw him do when he was a kid, and he shoots it right at Yhwach. When I was reading the manga, by the way, I was very concerned that he was going to shoot it at Jugram, and I didn't know if my heart was going to take it. I thought my heart was going to explode.
You're
if
like,
he
as
shot that
kids,
at Yugo.
no.
And it gets shot at Yhwach, but it is caught by Yugo with his hands, and we cut back to real time as the flames disperse, showing that he once again caught the arrow with his hands. And Yugo then slashes at Bazz B as it launches him through a wall, and we see like it's kind of cut across his chest. And Yugo says to give it a rest, Bazz B. The two of us fighting does not benefit His Majesty one bit. And Bazz B's like, of course it does. I'm trying to kill him, remember? And Bazz gets up, and we see, like I said, he's visibly bleeding through his chest. And he says, "Burner Finger 4," and forms a fire blade that's coming off his arm, which was very cool. And Yugo's like, "I told you to stop." And he says, "Bazzard Black." Like it's like your parents kind of yelling at you for the full name.
Yeah.
And he jumps over the flame sword as it slashes through a pillar, and he like falls, perfectly plans a jump, so he falls down this level. And we get a beautiful CG tracking shot, by the way, which I fucking love.
So good.
It was beautiful. Someone had a great point, and it was on Twitter that I read this, so this is not my original thought, but I loved it. Someone said that Jugram calling him Bazzard Black there is him kind of like reneging on the original deal that they made as kids, that he is no longer his subordinate. He's not following that path anymore, and he now sees him like, "You are Bazzard Black. Like, you are not my friend anymore. I'm not your subordinate. Like, this is done."
Ooh, that's really good.
I like that. I saw the opposite. I saw that as more of a, he used his full name as sort of a last-ditch effort to be like, hey man, for real, now that you're actually kind of hurt, let's end this. It doesn't have to go this far.
I think both are good.
Both are good, yeah.
Because I personally thought the same as you, Pythes.
I took it that way too.
That it was a personal plea, kind of like, like Bazz, like we're boys, like stop doing this. But Bazz, of course, is so in his head. Of course, as we find out here in just a second, Bazz has waited his whole life to 1v1 Jugram. Like he's been trying that forever. So right after this, Bazz yells at him like, "What's the matter? Come and get me. Are you running away from a fight again? Are you that afraid of losing to me, Yugo?" And then we go back to the past to learn some more about this. But very I don't know, just kind of a tragic scene that we've seen before of just this character where he is dying and he is fighting at the same time. Yeah. And I feel like his friend knows that hey, I slashed you pretty fucking good. Like, please stop. Like, that was,
you're about to die. Like, please just listen to me.
Yeah. He's like, you haven't really hurt me at all. Like, please stop. And he just keeps going.
This isn't the saddest episode of Bleach, but it's pretty close, man. I think we've all lost a friend at some point in our life, either to self-unalive or just you walk different paths in life or something. But this just really hit hard, man. It's such a good episode.
So we go to the past now, and then we see Bazz is also part of the Stern Ritters at this point, and he is attempting to fight Yugo as he walks away wearing his cool little general hat. And Yugo is just like, infighting among Stern Ritters is forbidden, and the punishment is death. And Hubert is still standing there taunting Jugram, and he's like, "Oh, maybe you don't have enough respect to command him." And he's like, "That new guy is sure a monkey. I'll beat some manners into him." And Yugo repeats again, "Infighting among the Stern Ritters is forbidden. The punishment is death. Are you willing to die for someone like him?" And he was like, "Don't worry. If nobody's watching, even His Majesty won't find out." And Yugo whips around and looks at him and says, "I'm watching."
Yep.
I'm like, shit.
The side eye.
And we get the Bazz B narration. He says, "It's been 3 years since you left to serve Yhwach. It took me 3 years to join the Stern Ritter. By then, you had become the commander of the Stern Ritter. Maybe you were the commander from the very start. I wasn't there, so I don't know. In any case, you continue to ignore my challenges again and again. No matter how much I taunted you, never tried to fight me. Damn you to hell, fight me. I still haven't lost to you." As we go back to the present, and Bazz B is jumping down to the lower level where Jugram is, still has his burning blade attached to his hand, and his arm gets fucking cut off by Jugram.
Clean severed.
And it falls on the stairs, and it becomes a rocket with how much flame is coming off of it, and goes flying up the stairs, cutting another pillar in half, which was crazy. When I was reading the manga, I was flipping through, and I was like, was that Ugram's blade that also cut the pillar, but it's like, no, it's super clear that it is Bazz's arm that went flying off like a rocket, and it was so hot, it's still by itself annihilated the pillar.
Yeah, it's still going off in space somewhere.
Someone's going to catch the legendary flame sword that's Bazz's arm.
Yup.
You guys ever see those like weird YouTube videos of someone who's like, I'm gonna open up a propane tank and then light it on fire, and it goes off in a million directions? That's what Bazz B's arm did.
Totally.
Yeah. And it was so cool. We've seen a lot of dramatic arms getting cut off in anime, especially in Bleach. I've never seen one that flies off and then gains momentum and then spins around like a Beyblade and cuts a pillar in half.
It was hilarious when I saw it the first time. It made me laugh, but it was cool. It was a cool moment.
Well, then we saw the immediate reaction.
Oh, yeah.
Of just, ooh.
Bazz, lands down, missing an arm, gushing more blood, and he's like, not yet, burning full fingers as we see him shoot like this massive tornado of flames that is going crazy, and we hear this like sudden clapping sound, and the flames stop, and we see Ugram's dash forward, slashing through Bazz B's chest, completely stopping the flames, and Bazz, bleeding even more now, is stumbling towards Yugo, bleeding with every step that he takes, and finally grabs onto his coat as his fingers, like the heat dissipates from his fingers, and he says, damn it, things never work out the way I expected. I thought I'd feel much worse losing to you, as Bazz collapses to the ground. And we see like some blood kind of smeared to Ugram's face, where it almost looks like he was crying blood.
Yeah.
And while this happens, we see the upper level, like Yugo is looking at this upper level, and we see like both the pillars slash in half because it's just such a crazy battle. And Jugram begins to walk up the stairs and not showing really his eyes, kind of looking down. And we hear the old timing from today on, you're my underling. Don't worry about what the adults say. I'll teach you everything you need to know. As this said, Jugram is sheathing his sword, walking up the stairs, and then we hear, let's become the strongest Quincy ever, as both the kid version of Bazz B and the adult version of Bazz B say, you go. And that's the end of the episode.
And it looked like Jugram purposefully had his hand over the B on his sword so you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
It's a bad day for Rain.
Really, really.
Such a brutal episode. Yes.
Let's throw the Jugram poem out really quick, and then we'll talk about that whole ending bit. Jugram poem, there is no pain as long as I keep my eye on the balance scale. Episode 39, the visible answer.
Can't believe we're going to be
Dang, what an episode, boys.
Oh, my God.
What an episode. That is crazy.
This core needs to stop giving us so much good shit.
And it's worth noting that we talk about the action and the choreography and the music. This episode was very pretty. The backgrounds, when they were showing the flashbacks, were so beautiful.
They were so well colored. Everything in Thousand Year Blood War has been dark, but this episode was really bright.
It was just kind of like, this was very movie quality to me is what this one was. It was really well done. They kind of talked about, I think this is also the Fireside Chat, where they said one of their favorite parts of Bleach TYBW Core 3 is that you could pause at any moment, it looks like a painting.
Yeah.
And I feel like this episode really emphasized that. Like, this really drove that home.
So beautiful. Did you catch that the word friend was split between red and white?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
I said,
oh.
And you could tell it hurt Jugo to like cut his friend down.
He didn't have to have a big dramatic scene where he cried. He's just kind of like, that felt bad.
If Yugo was more of a shit talker, he had the perfect opportunity because, lest we forget, Jugram was there when Yamamoto was doing his bankai.
Oh, that's true.
So he has felt the heat of the sun.
Could have hit him with the I felt real.
Yeah,
heat.
you could have been like, this is really nothing. Like, I have felt somebody who literally turned it to bright midday. His sword was so hot. His sword touched a single thing and it broke the ground in two. But, he's a good friend. He didn't want to embarrass him like that.
Not any further.
He acted like it was really hot. He was a good guy all the way through and through.
He's not that kind of character. I feel like a Renji would have said something like that. Grimjow would have, but not Jugram. That's not. So let's talk about Bazz B as a character and why he's the coolest motherfucker in the series. Exclusively because his powers are the coolest.
I mean, when he unleashed like the full burner finger, I just got, I got chills because it reminded me of G Gundam. Getting back to the
now,
burning fingers.
Jose, would you have thought it was cool if other arm gets cut off, he loses tornadoes, he goes burning toes? Would you have been like, let's get it? Burning pinky toe, burning
pinky toe.
Toes too, and like.
Or he turns into Ghost Rider and goes, flame on!
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's Human Torch.
Yeah. Well, they both got flame aspects to it, but yeah.
Well, I mean, from what I remember.
So would we have liked flaming toes?
Flaming Toes would just be an interest. He'd be Sanji.
Okay,
There
yes,
you go. He'd be
yes.
like Sanji.
Nah, I was thinking more Fire Force. Like, what Shinra has the feet that are always on fire.
He could have used Flaming Toes to really jet around as well. That would have been a next
Dude, that
level
would have been
move.
so cool. It'll be like Endeavor.
Like, I love cheesy animes where you call out the name of your special attack, and I love that he has Burner Finger 1, 2, 3, Burning Sword, Burning Full Fingers. It's so dumb, and I love it.
Do you think that we can point that back? Let's psychoanalyze Bazz B for a little bit. Do you think we could point that back to maybe Bazz B kind of stunted the moment that he got clowned on by Yhwach like that, and that just represents a little bit of his childish nature that he never grew past that moment, and that's why he calls out his moves, kind of like what you would be a child dressing up as a gladiator, calling out moves?
Maybe. And I think it's sort of he felt so embarrassed knowing that all of his power came from Yugo. I assume he had to train really hard to become a Stern Ritter. And so when he finally gets to Shrift, every little bit of power he can eke from it, he feels pride for. So he's like, all right, I can do a thing with a finger. That's Burner Finger. Oh, I can use 2? Burner Finger. I could use a sword now. I'm that good.
Now, what if his he lost his arm and couldn't use most of his power? What if he did the Vegeta's Final Flash thing?
That'd be cool.
But if he did that and then like engulfing all of that area, and then you just see Jugram still standing there being like, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff they could have done with it. It's interesting to think of also Bazz B as a character where he was, I don't know, he was this character that you think about it with unknowingly with Jugram and then with Yhwach, he has been given his power by both of these people.
Mm-hmm.
He did do his training, but a big increase of the power both times. One was from Jugram, as pointed out by Yhwach. The other is his Shrift, and getting that from Yhwach,
the man he wants to kill.
And like he was both gifted this. He was this very air quotes genius child, but both times he was gifted his power. He was gifted his status as a genius child. He was gifted his status as a royal, where he didn't have to hunt for food.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very privileged kid until he got clowned on.
Yeah.
Here's a question I was thinking about at work. Did he ever give up on his quest to kill Yhwach? Because he joins the Stern Ritter, but at some point he just kind of stops going for it and is like fully in on like the invasion of the Soul Society. So did he become complacent, just sort of realizing he could never win, and just the Ashwallen reignited his fury? Or was he always quietly biding his time?
I think he was always quietly biding his time, right?
I think there was a time where he did forget it, and I think he got caught up in the juice. He
you
was
think
like,
that was during the first invasion?
I definitely think so, and I think there was a time in his mind, because you think about it, right? He so badly wanted to be the advisor for Yhwach. That was his plan. He wants to get close to Yhwach, and he's going to kill him. He wanted to be again, right? That's what he wanted to do, and he lost. He didn't become the advisor the first time. The first invasion happens. What does Yhwach again? Guys, we're going to invade. Just FYI, I'm going to pick 4 of you to be my chosen and come up to the Soul Palace with me. And that's another, hanging that carrot in front of Bazz B's face. He wants it. What's better than becoming the advisor? One of the Stern Ritter royal guards, that can go up to the Soul Palace. You are that guy now. Another version to get you closer to Yhwach. So I think he got caught up in it.
It's also like, even like the first Quincy invasion, like he tries to jump Yamamoto and he gets roasted.
I think he was still trying to climb the ladder. I don't think he bought into it as much as like, yeah, fuck those Soul Reapers. He was like, no, I still need to climb the ladder and get, because I think he knows that he does not have that dog in him to take Yhwach. Like even when he wants to take out Jugram while he has Yhwach's powers, he's like, I still want to get close to him so that way I can snake him.
Part of me's like, Bazz B didn't even get a fight. He just tried. Like he tried to fight Yugo and he never got it. So I guess part of me think like, did he feel defeated? And then like this whole invasion just kind of kicked it back off again. He's a really interesting character, and I love that he's besties with Renji.
Yeah, eyebrow kings.
Eyebrow kings, hair kings. If there wasn't a war, they would be hanging out buying sunglasses. I guarantee it.
Okay, so let's do. Well, I think we're all going to agree pretty much across the board. Let's do a couple of things here. Let's rate the episode out of 10. Now, I'm going to make an asterisk here. No points. So no, you can't pick a 7.5.
Or
okay,
like that.
It's 1 through 10. No 0.5, 0.8s, whatever the fuck you're going to do. I'll count us down from 3. We'll rate the episode out of 10. Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. 10 out of 10.
I give it a 9.
Pythes, what the fuck, Pythes?
We were supposed to do it at the same time.
I had to think about it.
You could have said that before I started counting down.
Yeah.
You don't count down and say rock, paper, scissors, and then you just hold your hand behind your back for a second.
But I give it a solid 9. My only issue is I just wish there had been more fighting. But the fighting we did get was spectacular, so I can't complain.
Now, what do we want to crown the official Bleach Boys scene of the episode?
Oh God,
We haven't done this in a while.
Hmm.
There's a lot of good little moments to pick from this episode.
I still think early on when he ran up the no, the cape thing.
That was pretty
the
cool.
Cape thing.
Both,
Cape thing is
both
mine.
those moments you were mentioning was very, very good.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go with the cape thing just because it just in my mind. I'm like, I bet I could do that too, but no, I couldn't. It just looks so damn cool. I'm like, I want to recreate that.
Jose,
someday.
I'm so confident that you cannot do that I will play the role of Bazz B in that. I'm so confident that you can't do that.
I have capes.
Okay,
Let's do it.
That scene is some Zorro shit. I'm just letting you know.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm a huge fan of Zorro.
Yeah, I got one, and I'm gonna do a sad boy answer. I love when he's lying on the ground dead, and adult and child Bazz B's voices are overlaid over each other, saying "you go." Like that hit me.
Beautiful scene.
That hit me right, and I didn't cry or get misty, but I was like, "Oh, that hurts."
You're like my boy.
So my scene of the episode, which I think we'll agree with this. I think I'm going to sway you guys here. The anime-only edition of Bazz B's people getting slaughtered. I think that is like
That was just
It's pretty
so
good.
rough.
It-
It's really good.
It adds a lot to the story of Yhwach as well, where we had previously, I think, say what you will. I think you could have made an argument for manga Yhwach where, like, I kind of think he had a point. I kind of think he could have been a good guy. The Quincy's could be secretly good. That's a theory that gets thrown around a lot. The Quincy's are secretly good guys. I think after seeing this and Yhwach's brutal nature to his own people and just conquering, I don't think you can really make that argument anymore.
No, okay, yeah, you swayed me with that. 'Cause
Brutal.
It did add so many more layers to it, whereas like he got to see his people, his mom died, everything, everything taken from him.
If I specifically want to pick one moment, I really like the moment. This is going to sound horrible. I really like the moment where Bazz B falls down and lands on his dead body, his dead mom's body. Like, that's crazy.
Okay, well, I also really like the scene where he's like, because you see he's brave, he's proud, and then he's like cowering behind a rock as like the Stern will walk by.
Yeah.
That shit's scary, man.
And then the scene at the very end also where like Yhwach kind of makes eye contact with him and one of his irises. I'm like, oh, fuck.
I was just like, damn, I'm fucked. Let's just say that whole bit right there is that number one.
It's a singular scene, yes.
Yeah, it's just like.
Can we just say the whole episode?
I mean, it was incredible.
It was
through.
just, yeah, all the
so
way through.
good. I can't think of a scene that I didn't particularly like. It was very good.
Rocket Arm was so cool.
I love that scene.
I can't think of anything I would cut.
Nah, me either. I
Which for jamming it all in one episode was done beautifully.
so well. I thought it felt fast, but Sam told me earlier that this was one of the longer episodes.
It was the longest episode of Bleach TYBW I think we've ever got. It was like 24 minutes and change is what it came out to be in runtime.
Was it?
Yeah,
I felt like I had just started it when it went off.
same.
Yes, that's just good storytelling, man.
So I think I had just finished watching the episode, and I went on Twitter. I was looking for Jump Festa news, and that's when I saw My Hero Academia Vigilante. Shout out. There was a trending topic on Twitter, and it said Bleach TYBW episode 38, friend, a fan base divided. And now these are all AI produced, like, because they have Grok, I think is what the AI is called on Twitter, or X. So I clicked and I was like, oh, I didn't know people were divided on this episode. I was like so interested to see what the negative points were. So I went there, I screenshotted it so I could read to you guys what it says. It says, the latest episode of Bleach TYBW titled Friend has been highly praised by fans for its emotional depth and exceptional animation, which we agree. The episode delves into the childhood friendship and subsequent divergence of characters Bazz B and Jugram Haschwalth, focusing on their vow for vengeance against Yhwach. Viewers have lauded the episode for its storytelling, character development, and seamless integration of backstory with current events, making it as one of the standout episodes of the series. Now, you may be wondering, Sam, where's the divisive part in that description? There's fucking not one. I don't know why it was called.
It's
I don't know where the divisive part came from in there, but it clickbaited me and I clicked it. So
smart.
There you go.
It's learning.
You got you. You got.
The AI is learning how to make you click the trending topic because it got me really good. I wanted to see what people were saying about it that was negative, and I couldn't find it.
Okay, did you actually read the whole thing, or were you just scanning it lightly?
No, I read that.
I
I read the whole thing, and that's like the AI description. Then it starts showing the posts that everybody been doing talking about the episode. It was positive across the board. Everybody was super positive about this episode.
Yeah, because I was going to say everything I've seen on Twitter is people just like filleting this episode because of how good it is, and I'm one of them.
Yeah. Any last things that you guys want to talk about specifically this episode? I have a couple of questions from people about the Bleach TYBW as a whole, and then I have, of course, the stuff to talk about of the season finale, which we will put at the end here.
It's better than I thought it would be.
I agree. It's so much more better and like almost emotional.
I was hoping it would be good, and it wasn't good. It was great.
Okay, so let's go through a couple of fan questions, and then I will talk about what we know for the Bleach Thousand Blood War 2-part finale, which is going to be episode 39 and episode 40. So firstly, we have a question which actually Pythes responded to, and I did not say Pythes' rude-ass response. It's from Eli.Yhwach, and he says, if you had your choice to choose between a Bleach fighting game or a Bleach Dark Souls-like game, what would you pick and why? He says, parentheses, I personally think the structure of a Bleach game would fit perfectly for a Souls-like game.
Tell you what my answer was.
Hold on. Additional option / comment from Grizzly Dragon 58. He says a Bleach RTS sounds kind of fun. So would you like a fighting game, which we're already getting a fighting game, so that's a little bit swayed because we already got that in the pocket.
I'd go for a Souls-like game.
Souls-like or
like
Bleach
so much fun.
RTS.
My answer was I would kill and eat Sam for Souls like Bleach game.
Rude ass answer, like I said. Just like, what the fuck?
I need you to know I was serious. I love
Minding
you,
my
Sam.
own business, and I see that.
Sam, you're a good boy. You're a great friend. I'm looking at Yu-Gi-Oh cards right now because of you. But if they said, hey, Pythes, listen, you know you love Dark Souls? Kill Sam. But you got it.
He's so
Any day of the
up.
week.
Had you had asked me way back in the day, like before we're getting Bleach Rebirth of Souls, my answer would have been fighting game, like hands down. I was part of that annoying group that was yapping for a Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm clone that is Bleach. Like, I was yapping hard back when those games were good that we should get a Bleach game. Now that I've seen how Demon Slayer is, I hard pass on that one. But Bleach Dark Souls game I'd be happy with. I do get where they are coming from with the Bleach RTS, where you would have, like, I assume you play as Huecamundo, you would play as the Quincy Nation, you would play at the Soul Reapers. I don't think you'd play as the Fullbringers. It's not really a nation, but you'd play as those three main ones, and you could battle those factions and do RTS. That'd be cool. I haven't played RTS in a very long time, but I used to be a big fiend for RTS games. Loved it.
Does Crusader Kings count as an RTS? It's more of a historical political strategy game, but I play that.
Yeah, I would say so.
So I do that. I do. Someone could just make a mod for Crusader Kings as Bleach theme. Just let me do that.
Yeah, I would say that counts. Okay. So I think we all pretty much unanimously agree we would go Dark Souls game at this point in our life.
So fun. Oh my god.
I was playing Dark Souls 2 the other day.
Let's go to the next question from Ospexial, a new member of the Discord. Thank you guys for joining. If you guys haven't already, and you want to ask any question you'd like to see answered on the Bleach Boys podcast, join our Discord. The link for that is in the description. This is from Ospexial. He has 2 questions. Lee J. Barrow stated that he was the first Quincy given by Yhwach. Where do you think he is during the Bazz B family event? So I think he wouldn't have had that yet, right? Because we don't know if anybody has even gotten a shrift at that time. We don't know where that falls in the timeline, right?
Yeah, because he hasn't even formed the Stern Ritter yet. So
I would say that he is probably the first one to get it. And I think the way that they got around Jugram not being the first one to get a shrift is that he was the air quotes advisor, and then Lee J. Barrow, of course, is the first one that gets it.
Yes, I think that makes sense. He's just not there.
Do you think Lee J. Barrow taught the sniper girl how to shoot from that distance as she demolishes Bazz B's guardian's head?
I saw that question.
Maybe she taught him.
Maybe she taught him. That'd be kind of cool.
It just depends how the timeline works out, where I feel like this girl has been shown that she is like one of the OGs. She was here before the Stern Ritters were a thing. We've seen her in flashbacks prior. I would assume that she was there before Lee J. Barrow.
Yeah, I would too.
Do you think she is one of the people that got by Yamamoto, or do you think she is one of the people that, like, Yhwach said, you have outlived your usefulness?
I would headcanon that she probably got killed by just another captain.
Yeah. That sounds more likely.
I hope it was a cool captain.
All right, I have a couple more questions. I have one from Marcena Day asking where do we think the other Soul Society locations are at. I have one from Waffles talking about what character we wish could get the Camp Fear World treatment.
Ooh.
Asterisk now. We're going to save that for the Bleach Boys captains meeting after this, okay? If you guys are not aware, every week we do an additional 15 minutes of extra content just for our Patreon members. You can join at patreon.com/weebsguild. We have all kinds of cool perks, all kinds of cool content. If you guys haven't checked it out and you're looking to support us, which we would greatly appreciate if you can, check it out there. And a special shout out, as always, to our Bleach Boys captain level supporters, which is John and PV, the boys holding it down. We got 2 of our 13 core guard squads, and we're good to go. All right, we ready? Let's talk Bleach 1000-Year Blood War, the finale. Okay, so spoiler warning for you guys.
Give me full spoilers. I'm ready.
With the title of Bleach 1000-Year Blood War, episode 39, The Visible Answer, that chapter that has that same title is Jugram versus Uryu. So we can piece together just from the title alone that they are adapting Uryu versus Jugram,
already,
which lines up a lot of things. Yes. So Jugram, Uryu, the last time that we saw him, obviously he just defeated Renji. Ichigo, the last time we saw him, he was fighting Askin. Now, part of this Uryu versus Jugram interaction is Jugram pushes Uryu to fight Ichigo again to prove his loyalty. So Ichigo has to come back. We are missing the scene where Ichigo gets knocked the fuck out by Askin. He gets floored. So I'm gonna say that they're not showing that scene.
You think they're just gonna cut it and then go
It's
straight
gonna
to
cut.
Ichigo dipping
But
out?
that's one of my favorite things. I want to see it animated.
Now, how would they do that? Would they have Urahara come in and then be like, Ichigo, go take care of other shit?
I think Yoruichi just gets him back up. Or is it Orihime? I don't remember. It's been a minute. But like they're doing that fight now? I thought that would have been like a big attraction for what are they going to put in Core 4?
That's what everybody's wondering.
Yeah.
I'm losing my fucking mind over here. What? Oh my god! Next core's gonna be. Okay, so we're for sure getting a flashback to the original Ghost 13 next core, right?
I don't know. So we also with that, I don't know why they did this, but they released the synopsis for the Bleach TYBW finale. Obviously, it's broadcasting December 28th. We got an image here I will show to Jose of Uryu cocking back one of his swords.
That looks clean. Oh my god.
Jugram having the 3 irises like we saw in the flashback. And I'm going to read you the full thing. This is obviously Google translated because it's all in Japanese. But it says, synopsis. The story progresses from the farewell of the Shinigami and Quincy. Ichigo and Uryu resolve and pride to the end of the conflict. So that made nothing. That was word drama. But here's the interesting part. Ready? Uryu shot through Renji and returned to the true world castle, the Varveld. Haschwalth, who seemed different, stepped in and called him out. Meanwhile, the Shinigami believe in the path that Kiraku would open up and rush to the main hall of the Varveld. Blocking their path is Gerard Valkyrie. Gerard is in a disadvantageous situation in front of the captain of the Gotei 13, the captains, who attack him repeatedly, but there's a sense of ease in his expression. He says that it is only when it happens in the face of a crisis that it is a miracle. Now, cut over. Meanwhile, Ichigo, Orihime, Chado, and the others are being driven to spiritual pressure poisoning by the powers of Askin. Straight up, it says right here, Ichigo leaves the fight against Askin to Yoruichi, who comes to his aid and runs off. Spoilers!
Wow,
like, hello?
Okay.
And then the very last paragraph, everything is connected to one thing. Having survived the brutal battle to the death and reached the destination, what Ichigo sees in his eyes is ... and that's it.
Can't believe the whole gang is getting got by Askin and not just Ichigo.
Yeah.
How dare he do that to Chad? You know what? Chad's got to give Ichigo something. He's like, I'll take this, buddy.
Now, really crazy that like Ichigo is basically bowing out and running off to go do this. Like that's how quickly they're speedrunning it.
Damn. Okay. I really don't know what they're gonna do with Core 4 then.
I think it is such a blessing that like I think every single episode of us recording this is us going, what are they gonna do for Core 4 if they just did this? What are they doing? I assumed one of the things they'd use to hype up Core 4 was gonna be check it out, Uryu versus Yuga, we're going, but they're doing now?
So I have more spoilers for you guys, and these are official spoilers, by the way. It's not like somebody leaked these. These are from the Jump Festa panel. They did also show an additional, like a short little trailer of some scenes, and there is one thing that we have seen in the trailer that we have not seen yet this season. Does anybody know what it is?
No, what is it?
No.
You guys remember a certain glowing orb that we saw somebody standing in front of that we still have not seen to this day? A red floating giant orb in the trailer.
I don't remember what you're talking about at all. I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch the trailer for Core 2. I was just excited that it came out. I didn't want to see anything. I meant Core 3. Like, screenshot that shit and send it to me. I have no clue what you're talking about. Yeah, we saw that. He was using that during when Renji was fighting Uryu.
Well, the red orb that may have potentially have been in the Renji episode returns is that seems like that's where everybody's gonna be fighting. So they released a short trailer, and right at the opening scene we see that Uryu is now there. So I don't know what this orb is. We've never got an explanation for what it is. Maybe it's like the heart or the Varveld or something like that. We're gonna get some sort of explanation for. Maybe it's where Yhwach Baha is sleeping. Who knows? But you can see the gang is there in the heart of the Varveld. So in this image that is part of the trailer, Ichigo, Chad, Orihime are all there confronting Uryu. That happens here. And it goes straight into also Jugram showing up there. And from what we know from the manga, obviously, Jugram has the 3 irises because he has the Almighty right now, and basically he challenges Uryu, prove to me you're not a traitor right now, kill him. Like, that is basically how that it gets set up. So I bet we will get another incredible Uryu versus Ichigo fight that will happen. I hope the gang is involved as well. Spoiler for the manga. Eventually, in that fight is when Uryu turns on Jugram and then fights Jugram.
If I didn't read the manga and I didn't know there was going to be another core, I would say that like we're about to see the ending of the series.
Yeah.
Like it feels, I feel like add one more episode and I'm like, yeah, they could probably end it right now. So we have a whole core left to go.
Because especially when you even see it, because in this fight also is when Uryu obviously says, I'm going to take on Jugram. You guys go ahead. Like, go get Yhwach. You would really think, like, is this ending? Like, are we coming to the end right here? Is this the final fight? It goes fast.
Oh my God. They could be, people on the internet could be right. It could just end with Ichigo, like, using his Bankai and the sword getting cut. And then that's how the season ends.
That would be crazy. That'd be crazy.
Oh, that would be insane.
Sam, you've talked. You love it when it ends on a note of despair.
Yeah.
So we can, wouldn't that, like, he got Bankai cut in half, just fades to black into season.
No, we need the iconic manga panel that everybody has memed on for ages. That needs to be the final scene of Core 3. It's just Ichigo in despair saying, it's over.
Damn. That would be fantastic.
That's where it really
needs
needs to end, is that incredible,
I would love that. I'd be okay
well-memed
with that. That'd be
image.
so good.
It would be a brutal year to live through as a Bleach fan with everybody saying that one, but it would be great.
And then the trailer for next year, you see that scene, and it shrinks and it's reflected in a bookmark, and then you hear Tsukushima say "not yet," and that's the trailer.
Oh, it would be so good. You know, we're down for anything Tsukushima. Oh, that would be amazing.
I mean, he's fantastic. He's been
Uncle
with us forever.
Tsukushima, he was there.
Yeah, he was there.
He's been there forever.
Yeah.
He taught me how to ride a bike.
Yeah, so that's all the news that we have for Bleach TYBW episode 39. People were a little bit, and 40. People were a little bit disappointed there wasn't more news at Jump Festa. I kind of felt it wasn't going to be much news because they're in the middle of the season already. It's not like they have something to announce. Additionally, they're starting to work on Core 4.
Not
like
much
what
that they can show
What
either.
can you say?
Yeah.
And it's like Kubo is so involved in the anime and obviously the video game that's happening, where his plate's full. Like he doesn't have a lot to really add on to that. Like his time is taken. You know.
Have you guys seen the footage of Kubo like playtesting the game and being really excited over how cool the menus are? I'm so happy for him, man.
We're just in like a I don't know,
golden age.
I wouldn't say this is the golden age, right? Because you would say the golden age is probably back in the day,
like really
when it
early
was
on, yeah.
real popular. What is the second coming? Like the Silver Age, like
Silver Age.
Yeah, we're in like the Silver Age right now of Bleach, you know, where it's like it is a rebirth of souls of the Bleach genre. So,
I see what you did there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time. I think we just have to enjoy it, you know, and not stress out that it's ending next year because that's it. But it's been a great run, and we're super privileged to have gotten such a good adaptation. Really, really nice.
Next year will be over, and then we'll get more of the Hell arc.
You know, I did think of a very funny, like, what if for Core 4 it doesn't have the same like series director, and so somebody else has to come up and be like, the fuck did you guys do to the order of the manga here? Like, you guys really fucked me on this one.
Well, not only that, you have to live up to everything they've done.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Of course, let us know what you thought. If you're one of the people that apparently is very divisive on this episode, leave a comment, and other guys, please don't tear them to shreds. I'm just genuinely interested on what the gripes with the episode are. No matter how negative they may be, I want to know. So let us know in the comments down below. If you liked it, let us know as well. And if you guys want to support us and see more Bleach Boys, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/redeals. Also, we are super close to 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you have not subscribed to us on YouTube, check us out over there. Get us that 30 grand. That'd be nice to hit it before the new year hits. That'd be really good. So we will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.